I did not want to have to do this video, but the Miami Heat swept by the Milwaukee Bucks in a dominating fashion. We're looking at a team that was in the NBA Finals last year, the Eastern Conference champions, led by Jimmy Butler, who many believe was a top 10 player in the league, maybe even top 5. And in this season, the Miami Heat went through adversity, of course, COVID, injuries. I think we can all understand that. And they played a little bit better near the end of the season. But in this series, just a horrible performance by these guys. And it just begs the question, what went wrong? Before I get into the video, of course, leave a like on the video if you enjoy the content. Subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And of course, share the content. Let's get into the video. But the Miami Heat swept 4-0 by the Milwaukee Bucks, the same team that they beat last year in 5 in the bubble. And before I even go off on a tangent, I want to make some things clear. Because what's going to happen, you're going to see this a lot on social media and on different platforms, that the bubble is the main reason why the Miami Heat were good. And I just want to say now, that is not true. We have to use context. When we look at the bubble, the best teams won. The best team won in the NBA Finals, in the playoffs, in the bubble. It's just that simple. When it comes down to it, the Miami Heat played their best basketball then. You can't use that against the team just because you don't respect the bubble. And I get it. The bubble jokes are hilarious. I'm a LeBron fan. I see the LeBron, Mickey Mouse, the A Disney. I see that like maybe twice a day, actually. But the fact of the matter is they played their best basketball then. You look into the fact that they had an 80-day offseason. Less than 80 days for an offseason this year. After coming off 90 days in a bubble, you come into the season, you have injuries within your entire team, and you have to deal with COVID protocols. This was tough for the Miami Heat. I'll give it to them. This was very, very tough. And even with those adversities and those trials that they felt that they had to go through, they still were able to at least be competitive this season and make a run near the end of the season for the playoffs. So it made me think that, okay, in this playoff series against the Bucks, they may not be favored, but they definitely do have an edge to where they can upset the Bucks. And in game 1, we saw that. We saw that they had a chance to actually steal game 1. But after game 1, oh my God. But the Miami Heat, let's talk about what went wrong. So I think the first thing we have to talk about is Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler underperformed tremendously. And as a guy who respects Jimmy Butler's game, this was hard to watch because it felt as if like Jimmy Butler wasn't even playing in the game. It seemed like he had a non-factor except for maybe game 1, but every other game, Jimmy Butler, you couldn't find him. And as the leader of the Miami Heat, it's his job to make sure that his guys are on accord to make sure they're playing their best basketball. You saw in this series that you could make the argument that Duncan Robinson was the best player in the Miami Heat jersey. Duncan Robinson, great shooter, don't get me twisted, but Duncan Robinson, man, Jimmy Butler didn't have a outburst in scoring and shot below 30% from the field and from 3. -14 plus minus. This is a horrible performance by Jimmy Butler. And I'm not the type of guy to bash NBA players, but my goodness, this is going to be an indictment. It's going to be an indictment. Now, you could go ahead and look at Bam as well. Bam, leading it into the series, Bam was one of the best defenders against Giannis in his career. We saw this in game 1. Giannis felt uncomfortable, and it seemed like they had something they could do to make it hard for Giannis. But Bam didn't play his best series as well. Game 1, game 2, it didn't seem as if like those guys really felt like they were in the offense. It's tough. It's tough to look at this right now. You could talk about Tyler Hero, and I feel like a lot of people are going to say that he's trash of a player. I'm not going to trash a player that's in their second season who had an upgrade in their rookie season, and that's just dumb to me. I'm not going to go ahead and talk mess about a guy who's just entering the league and has so much more time to get better. Guys who are doing that are usually doing that because they talk about the Harden trade, which we'll talk about right now. The Harden trade. The trade that could have gotten them a star player in James Harden. Now, there's reports that Tyler Hero wasn't in the talks. He was in the talks. But at the end of the day, the Miami Heat have 2 options right now. 2 options. 1, stick with your core and rebuild with your core. Bam, Tyler Hero, and Precious Achiuwa. You have young guys on the team. You have a lot of guys. Kendrick Nunn. And maybe there's a possibility, but we have to think about it now, that you trade Jimmy Butler, who's 32, and try to rebuild for the future. Because as you look at it, the Sixers aren't going anywhere. The Bucks are definitely not going anywhere. They've re-signed their big three for another 4 years, and the Brooklyn Nets have at least one more year together. So it's not as if like the Miami Heat could just make a great move right now. So that's an opportunity and a move they can do. The second option, go get another top 10 player and add to your team. Can they do that? And even if they do that, will it be enough to be a contending team in the Eastern Conference? I don't know. Kawhi Leonard's out there, but from what we saw, they don't feel like giving up a lot of pieces for James Harden. So what's the question? What do they do next? I think that they have to do something very, very drastic, or they could be passive. It depends on where they want to go. And Pat Riley, we've seen him to be a drastic guy. He'll go out and make the move if he feels that's necessary. But man, it's a very, very tough situation because the Miami Heat were a team that everybody loved to watch. They were a Cinderella team. They were a team that you could say, oh, well, these guys are just grit, grind. They're going to go hard every single night. And seeing that the Miami Heat in this series lack that energy that we expected them to have, like I said, it's a disappointment. But I think they have a lot of pressing issues to ask themselves going into this offseason. Jimmy Butler, do you stay with him? Do you rebuild? Do you add more pieces to go for another run? And at the end of the day, do you even have enough to compete for a championship right now in 2022? It's a lot of questions to ask for this roster and this organization, but we'll see what they'll do. If you guys enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, comment down below what you feel the Miami Heat should do in this offseason, and let me know your thoughts. Until next time, stay on beat.